Hi everyone, it's Officer Best.
And Officer Potak.
And today, we're again on location. We're on Lehigh Street, directly across from the Chester Academy Day School. And today, what we'd like to do is read a book called I See Things Differently. And this is a book, a first look at autism. And again, one of the reasons that we chose to read about autism is because April is National Autism Awareness Month. And Officer Potak and I, being in the schools that we have a lot of direct dealings with students that have autism. And we would like to share some of these experiences with you and some of the signs and things like that that makes people with autism a little bit different, but just as special as you and Officer Potak and me.
And something about autism is each person is different. So you can't group autism as everybody's the same. Everybody is different with how their autism affects them.
Exactly.
So hopefully some of the books we will read will explain some of those differences so you can better understand how to deal with somebody with autism.
Right. Okay, so I see things differently. Do you know what it feels like to be worried or nervous or scared or to feel different from other people? We all feel these things sometimes, but people who have autism feel these things a lot. You probably know someone with autism. It could be someone at school, it could be someone in your neighborhood, or even in your own family. You may have seen them behaving in ways that seem strange to you and wondered why they do these things. But even if you ask them, they may not be able to explain. In fact, some people with autism don't speak at all.
Sometimes kids that have autism might have to use a computer or a tablet, and there's keywords in there, and they can press the buttons and the tablet will speak to you because they cannot speak themselves.
Right. Autism is something you're born with. It's not something that you can catch from others. When people have autism, it affects the way their brain works, making them behave or react differently from others. Nobody knows exactly what causes it, and figuring that out isn't easy because the way our brains work is very complicated. And there's not a more complex brain around than mine. Our brains help us make sense of the world. They help us learn from the things we do and see. They help us understand that if someone is smiling, that means that they're happy. Or that the green pencil works just as well as the red one. Or if you put the peanut butter on first and then the jam, it tastes the same as if you put the jam on first. But for people with autism, their brains work differently from other people's. They may look the same as everyone else on the outside, but inside they can feel like everyone around them is speaking a different language or even from a different planet. People with autism may find big crowds or loud noises very frightening. They may repeat the same words over and over again or move their bodies in ways that look strange to you. When you talk to them, they may not look at you, and you may wonder if they are hearing what you have to say.
Sometimes they even wear earphones so that way they can't hear anybody. You might see people walking around with like the big earphones on. That's so the distractions don't get to them and they don't become extremely worked up.
Even small changes can be very upsetting to them. That's why they may always want to sit in the same chair, read the same book, or use the same cup. These habits help people with autism feel safer and more able to deal with all the things that they're feeling. Most of us are pretty good at finding ways to ignore things that we don't want to see or hear or do. But for people with autism, it can be harder to ignore things. All the sights and sounds and smells around them come rushing into their brains like a giant wave. When that happens, they may feel lots of confusing feelings all at once. People with autism aren't bad or behaving wrongly, they're just different. And sometimes being different is a good thing. Some people with autism have amazing talents and skills. They may be good at music or painting or remembering things. They may be really good at math or understanding computer programs or fixing things.
There's a TV show out that's called The Good Doctor. On that TV show, the doctor is playing an actor who's autistic. If you're a little bit older and you've ever watched that show, you can see how he reacts with people, and he doesn't understand feelings that other people have. So if you're interested, you can watch The Good Doctor. That'll teach you a little bit about how they interact with other people.
When people have autism, it can be hard for them to understand jokes or use their imagination or play pretend games. Being with more than one person at a time may be upsetting, and it could be hard for them to make friends. But we all need friends to love and support us. So if you know someone with autism, try to be a good friend. Be kind and patient, and don't expect him or her to grow out of it. That won't happen. He or she will always see the world differently from others. But with love and support from everyone around them, people with autism can learn to feel a little happier and safer each day.
Right. And the more everybody else learns about autism, the better it is on autistic people, because then they can function like we would function without getting upset.
And that's what Officer Potak and I are all about, is making people feel happier and safer. And that's the end of the book of I See Things Differently. So just remember, if you're in your neighborhood, if you're in school, if you're in the cafeteria and you're eating lunch and you see that somebody has headphones on, they may be rocking back and forth, they may have autism, and that's just the way that they cope. But it doesn't mean that they're disabled, that they're strange. It just means that they're different. But they may have certain gifts and certain talents that even we don't have. So, on behalf of the Catasauqua Police Department, Officer Best,
Officer Potak,
we'd like to thank you for joining us and sharing about autism. See you soon.
Bye.
Wash your hands. Stay safe.